A fugitive in an Oklahoma manhunt has been killed in a shootout with police. The World Health Organization suggests raising taxes on soft drinks to minimize health risks. CSUN held a Day of the Dead event to commemorate Dia de los Muertos.
This is Valley View News.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Gabrielle Ortega.
And I'm Orabe Hernandez. A large manhunt has ended in Oklahoma with a shootout that killed the suspect. Police say 38-year-old Michael Vance killed two relatives and shot and wounded two Oklahoma police officers. The final shootout happened after a car Vance stole was spotted near a campsite northeast of Oklahoma City.
Law enforcement got there shortly after they were notified. By the time they got there, the individual had already left the scene. We found evidence at the scene that we felt relatively sure that this was going to be the person that we were looking for.
Vance was wanted on 2 counts of murder for a crime spree that began Sunday, October 23rd.
The pipeline protest in North Dakota was briefly interrupted by a herd of wild buffalo. The herd ran through the group of protesters at Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. Tribal leaders say North Dakota pipeline threatens water resources and sacred land. The Native Americans have protested to try to stop the project, including setting fires and refusing to follow police orders to disperse. Over 100 protesters were arrested in recent weeks. Native leaders plan on continuing their protests throughout winter.
Student employees can now expect a raise all over CSU systems. Valley View News reporter Stephanie Bedoya has more on the story.
The United Auto Workers and the California State University school system have agreed on a temporary bargaining agreement that will give students a pay raise. The agreement will give a 50-cent raise to student employees and a 3% raise to teacher and graduate assistants. The UAW's goal for the agreement is to help make the workplace safer and equal for their workers. Student employees at Cal State Northridge had this to say about the agreement.
I think it's good for students, but it may not be that great organizationally because they might have to downsize.
I think it's a good thing because as a student, you're only allowed to work 20 hours on like a campus. So I think increasing the amount that we get is going to be helpful because we are college students. We do have food to pay for, rent, books, tuition. So I think it's definitely necessary and helpful to have an increase in our pay.
I think it's a great idea that CSUs are raising the minimum wage for college students because when you work for a campus, you really feel like you're also giving back to the university that you're working for. So it feels like that they want to give back to you more than just getting an education.
If ratified, the new agreement will be in effect until 2018. In Northridge, this is Stephanie Bedoya for Valley View News.
FBI Director James Comey announced the reopening of Hillary Clinton's email investigation, just a few days away from the presidential election. Comey made the decision to send a letter to Congress stating there are new emails that need to be reviewed. Clinton and her running mate Tim Kaine are questioning the way he is addressing the situation.
It's pretty strange to put something like that out with such little information right before an election.
This is an unprecedented move, as your folks were describing earlier, because it happens close to an election, which is in violation of normal Justice Department protocol.
Comey is being criticized for going against a rule that has been followed by the Justice Department and FBI. It says that sensitive political investigations should not be publicly revealed within 60 days of the election. The Justice Department has already obtained a warrant to begin investigating the email account.
A form of birth control for men is being tested in the U.S. The method uses an injection that is given to men every 8 weeks. The shot is a synthetic form of progestin, which is a mixture of 2 hormones. Urologist Seth Cohen says progestin stops the men from producing testosterone and sperm. The effect is temporary and men become fertile again about 3 months after they stop the injections. During the experiment, several men dropped out because of the side effects, mainly muscle pain. Officials say that more than 75% of the men in the test reported being able to use the contraception without problems.
Research shows that more than 1/3 of adults in the United States are considered to be obese.
We have Katerina Kostafis in Studio B talking about the persuasive messages that we can send to help combat this issue.
Hello, and thanks so much for joining us. I have the pleasure of speaking with Assistant Professor Dave Keating. Thank you for being here.
Very welcome.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you specialize in terms of healthcare research?
Yeah, for the last 6 years, probably a little bit more, most of my work has been in health communication, And that means a lot of different things depending on who you're talking to. But for me, what that means is persuasive message design. So how do we design messages that are going to be most effective in convincing people to do things that we think are good for them and to believe things that are going to result in healthy behaviors and healthy lifestyle choices?
Okay, that's great. And how exactly do you implement that? Because I did a little bit of my own research, and correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Disease, more than 2 in 3 adults are considered to be overweight or obese. And in addition, more than 1 in 6 children suffer from this as well. Why do you think that this problem still persists, and what are ways that you can send out those persuasive messages in order to implement change?
Right. So one of the big challenges for people like me who are interested in this area, and really for government agencies both at the federal and state level, local level, is how to not just convince people, but how to also give them the tools to engage in those healthy behaviors, engage in that healthy lifestyle. When the type of research that I have conducted in the past. For instance, I worked in Washington, D.C. at a private research company, and the D.C. Department of Health was curious about how to get people to be more active, to get out there and exercise for at least a little bit each day. And the reality is people who are overweight, obese, adults, I'm speaking about adults in particular, they tend to know that they are overweight and obese. They tend to understand that it's not good in terms of their health to be that way. And the messages you put out there, it's resonating with them. But the challenge doesn't come from the messaging or the motivation necessarily. It comes from, I am working 2 jobs. And when I get home, I don't have time to cook for my kids before I have to put them to bed. So McDonald's it is today. I mean, that's a very real reality.
Another thing that I kind of looked up on my own was I saw that the World Health Organization said that the world is kind of divided between people who don't get enough to eat and people who eat too much. Do you agree with that? And do you also think that this is something that varies from country to country? Like, is this an American problem, or is this something that we can see going on all over the world?
Now, admittedly, obesity and overweight, that is not something that I have an abundance of experience in. But to get at your question, which is this something that is probably happening, and is this something that varies by country? I mean, definitely. I think, there's that joke that 1 in 5 Americans is hungry, and the other, 3 of the remaining 5 or 3 of the remaining 4 eat too much. I mean, it's a very real, it's something to think about, and the question comes in, how do you address both of those needs? So how do you give people who are not food secure the type of resources? Like, for instance, CSUN has the food pantry that they just implement, which is a great resource. But then on the other side of things, how do you convince people not to maybe eat as much, or to cut back on the foods that are not good for them?
Absolutely, and I think it's important that they're aware of these resources, and I'm sure there's plenty of information online and so forth. But unfortunately, we do have to end our interview today, but thank you so much for joining us again, and look forward to hearing more from you and seeing more research in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back to you guys.
A Las Vegas man is under arrest for the death of a 7-year-old boy, who police say died of child abuse. Detectives say evidence shows that 31-year-old Kenneth Robinson was responsible for the child's injuries.
Some of the most difficult investigations that any of us have to deal with, even from the most experienced detectives. It's very sad that we are investigating this as a child abuse death.
Robinson is not the child's father, but lived in an apartment with the boy's mother and 4 other children. Detectives say that they are interviewing the child's mother and will later determine if an additional arrest will be made.
20 people have been hospitalized after a Boeing 767 caught fire on Chicago's O'Hare Airport. American Airlines Flight 383 was evacuated after one of the engine turbines failed. Assistant Deputy Fire Commissioner Timothy Sampy commended the flight crew for safely getting everyone off the aircraft.
The flight crew did an outstanding job of bringing the aircraft to a halt, alerting all the cabin crew that they were going to evacuate the aircraft, knowing that the fire was on what would be the starboard side or the right side of the aircraft. They evacuated off the port side or the left side of the aircraft, 170 persons and flight crew and a dog. They all safely evacuated out of half the exits on the port side, and they went into the grass.
Debris from the failed engine was found as far as a third of a mile away. First responders quickly surrounded the scene and put out the flames. The National Transportation Safety Board is conducting an investigation.
GoPro has announced its new drone called Karma. The drone will cost $800 or around $1,000 with the GoPro 5 Black camera. The camera is waterproof and features 4K video, GPS, voice control, and Bluetooth. The GoPro drone will have many new features like a remote with a touchscreen and a stabilizer. A backpack can also be purchased with a drone that holds space for a camera and a charger.
Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck fractured his pelvis when he crashed on his dirt bike ride in the Tehachapi Mountains. Beck was riding his motorcycle with a group of friends on a rocky trail when he fell. The police chief was able to ride back to his car and drive home before going to a hospital. It has been reported that he may need surgery. However, Chief Beck is expected to return back to work within the next week.
General Electric is merging its oil and gas businesses. GE is combining with Baker Hughes, a major oil field service company. Both firms have struggled as oil and natural gas prices dropped during the past 2 years. The two companies together had annual revenue of $30 billion. The merger will allow them to cut costs by $1.5 billion. They will create a new company that GE will control, but Baker Hughes will own 37% stake. The shareholders at Baker Hughes will receive a dividend of $17.50 a share.
The World Health Organization has an idea to help reduce obesity and type 2 diabetes in America. Valley Views News reporter Jenny Vong has more on the story.
The World Health Organization suggests an idea to reduce the global rise in obesity and type 2 diabetes by increasing the tax on sugary drinks. The WHO recommends raising tax up to 20 to 50% on all sugary drinks, including sports drinks, energy drinks, vitamin waters, and sweetened iced teas. More than 500 million of the world's adults are now obese. People who are obese have a higher risk at heart disease, the leading cause of death in the United States. More than 76,000 Americans died of diabetes in 2014. WHO officials say the consumption of added sugar is the root of these sicknesses. Biology teacher's assistant Thomas Gesser believes that if the soda tax gets raised, the government should use the money on health programs.
Making sure people are, health conscious, they have proper nutrition information given to them, they have access to information that's going to help them make better decisions.
Adults with healthy weight are recommended to consume about 6 teaspoons of sugar a day. WHO officials believe that if sugary drinks are more expensive, people will buy less, therefore people will consume less. CSUN psychology student Carrie Johnson thinks otherwise.
This is not a cause and effect. Nothing is straight cause and effect. Maybe people are going to go broke because they have addiction to soda.
Meanwhile, at Berkeley, tax on sugary drinks passed with 75% of supporters. American Journal of Public Health found that 5 months after penny per ounce passed, the consumption of sugary drinks fell to 21% among low-income Berkeley residents, whereas neighborhoods like Oakland and San Francisco rose by 4% where soda taxes were not increased. In Los Angeles, California, this is Jenny Vong reporting for Valley View News.
Turkey has detained 13 journalists accused of being members of terror organizations. Turkish police detained the editor-in-chief of the newspaper Cumhuriyet. Supporters protested outside the publication offices in Istanbul. The newspaper has remained critical of the Turkish president and his AKP party. The Turkish government accused the journalists of publishing stories supporting the coup that occurred in July. Turkish authorities also fired more than 10,000 public servants and shut down 15 Kurdish media companies.
A powerful 6.6 magnitude earthquake hit central Italy. There are no reported deaths, but at least 20 people were reported injured. More than 15,000 people are being housed in temporary shelters. There have been more than 200 aftershocks in the area since the quake. This is the 4th earthquake to hit the area in the past 2 months. The Italian Prime Minister vows to rebuild the damaged villages.
Coming up, find out who received millions of dollars from Penn State football scandal.
Olympian Michael Phelps has officially tied the knot.
And we'll tell you which CSUN sport teams brought home the Big West Conference title.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
How's your hair? Is it pretty?
Daddy.
It's pretty.
Maybe I'll say that.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Now let's go to Michael Serrano with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Gabrielle. Cubs fans took a quick breather as their team fought to a win in Game 5 of the World Series. The Cubs won 3-2 against the Cleveland Indians, forcing a Game 6. Cubs fans celebrated the win in the final game of the year at Wrigley Field. Chris Bryant hit his first World Series home run during a 3-run fourth inning. Starter John Lester secured the win for the Cubbies. Both CSUN soccer teams have claimed Big West titles. The men's soccer team defeated UC Riverside 1-0 to win the 2016 Big West South Division Championship. The women's soccer team defeated Hawaii 1-0 to claim its first Big West Conference regular season championship. Both CSUN teams claimed a #1 seed in their Big West conferences. The two teams will play in their respective Big West tournaments in hopes of bringing back more trophies. A former Penn State football coach has been awarded $7.3 million in damages after an 8-day trial. The jury found the university guilty of defamation in the Mike McQueary case. McQueary is the assistant coach who reported the sexual abuse he witnessed by former coach Jerry Sandusky. He also testified that he has not been able to find work, either in coaching or elsewhere. The damages cover lost wages and misrepresentation by the university. Star wide receiver Andre Johnson is retiring after 14 seasons, mostly with the Houston Texans. The 35-year-old Johnson is a 7-time Pro Bowl player now with the Tennessee. The Titans announced Monday that Johnson told the team he's retiring. Johnson ranks among the top 10 receivers in NFL history in catches and yards receiving. The former first-round draft pick from Miami led the NFL in catches in 2006 and again in 2008. Olympian Michael Phelps has revealed he and Nicole Johnson were married 2 times. The first time was kept a secret, and the second time was about a week ago. The couple posted wedding photos on each other's Instagrams along with lovely quotes. Phelps posted a video to reassure his fans.
I had to keep it hush-hush from you guys. But Nicole and I are married. We are officially married.
The newlyweds first got married in Paradise Valley, Arizona last June, but they never announced it publicly. The two had another wedding in Cabo San Lucas this month and this time let everyone know. Phelps also says that maybe baby number 2 could be coming soon. That's all for news and sports. Now back to you.
When we come back, an embattled celebrity has been declared legally blind.
Find out which new musical is starring Jennifer Lopez.
And a popular Disney show from the past is getting a sequel, so stay tuned.
Ms. Stevens, I just wiped malware off our system. People have got to stop clicking unsolicited email links and downloading free software unless it's from a trusted source.
Sounds great.
We need a data backup plan in a separate location in case we get hacked.
We need to focus on making profits, not spending them.
Learn to protect yourself from ransomware. If you become a victim, contact your local FBI office.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just, please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Every time I hear the alarm bell go off in school, I think it's an air raid.
A lot of houses in our neighborhood have been destroyed. I like to close my ears and sing songs whenever the bombs come close.
I'm worried our new neighbors won't like us.
But I know it's all gonna be worth it. I just want my family to be safe. But these are not my words.
These are not my words.
These are not my words.
Now let's go to Jenny Vong with the latest in entertainment.
Thanks, Arabella. Bill Cosby's defense attorney says the actor is legally blind. Cosby has registered as a blind person with the Massachusetts State Commission. A copy of doctor's report will be provided at his next hearing. Cosby has 3 felony charges against him. His lawyer says without Cosby's eyesight, he cannot determine if he has ever seen some of his accusers. Jennifer Lopez is going from Jenny from the Block to Jenny on Broadway. The actress and singer will be on the NBC Live musical Bye Bye Birdie. Lopez will be playing Rosie DeLeon. The role was originally played by Chita Rivera in the 1960 Broadway production. The NBC musical is set to premiere in 2017 during the holidays. Live poetry reading may seem like something out of date, but one North Hollywood bar is keeping this art form alive and well. Valley View News reporter Katerina Chrysofis has more on the story.
Welcome to the Lamplight Poetry!
Lamplight Poetry is a semi-monthly open mic reading that takes place at the White Hart British Pub in Woodland Hills, California. Cyrus Sepabodi and David Gale founded Lamplight Poetry just 2 years ago, but their relationship began back in high school.
One night he tried to start a Dead Poets Society, and I went and I heard him read, and I went, I have to know this man. And he heard me read and felt the exact same way. We didn't really know each other that well in high school, but immediately afterwards we began spending time together and writing.
For the typical person visiting the White Hart, Lamplight may just be a place where they can listen to local writers perform. However, for Gale, as well as many other regulars who attend, it is much more than that.
For us here, it's something special. It's, this is my version of church. I don't go to church. I don't go to synagogue. I come here, and this is where I feel whole.
On most nights, Gale and Sepabodi bring in an experienced guest performer to share their work. But Sepabodi explains that Lamplight caters to all writers, regardless of experience.
A lot of our regulars, many of which are in the room today, started out for their first time reading at a poetry reading here. And it's about exposure to the stage and exposure to your own words going into the ears of other people.
Guest speaker and poet Nikel Davis has attended poetry readings all over the world. She explains the main reason why Lamplight Poetry differs from other readings she has attended.
With anything, it gets really competitive, but here it's not an atmosphere of being competitors. It's an atmosphere of whatever it takes to rise the person up to their best self is what happens in this room.
And you can check out Lamplight Poetry every other Sunday right here at the White Hart Pub located in Woodland Hills. Reporting from Woodland Hills, I'm Katerina Chrysofis, Valley View News.
A man in Canada is selling cans of what he calls fresh air, and people in China are buying it. The Canadian company Vitality Air is selling bottled air from the Rocky Mountains. Cans range from $14 to $20 based on the size. Co-founder Moses Lamb says he travels to the city of Banff and spends 10 hours collecting the air. The canisters are popular in China, where air pollution is a serious problem. The air sold out in 2 weeks after hitting store shelves. Beijing announced its first red alert because of poor air quality by closing schools and restricting traffic. The latest Marvel adventure, Doctor Strange, opened to $86 million, and that's just overseas. The film stars Benedict Cumberbatch as a surgeon who turns into a sorcerer. Disney owns Marvel and says Doctor Strange is earning more than any other Marvel film. The movie will open soon in the US and then in China, Brazil, Japan, and Russia. Many people in California celebrate Day of the Dead to honor loved ones who have passed away. Valley View News reporter April Preciado tells us more about this tradition, which started in Mexico.
Marigolds, candles, colorful altars, and drums lit up the night to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, at Cal State Northridge. This spiritual Mexican and Latin American tradition brings the community together to honor and remember loved ones that have passed on. Altars are created to commemorate dead relatives as they are decorated with their favorite food and drinks.
There's 3 deaths. The first is when you take your last breath, the second is when you get buried, and the third is when you get forgotten. And I think that is something Dia de los Muertos helps to kind of prevent, is that you want to remember your ancestors, you want to remember your family members, you want to remember your friends.
Although this tradition is celebrated to honor deceased ones, it's also used as a way to bring awareness to issues occurring.
It's extremely important because it's something that not only brings together my community in this beautiful love fest and this beautiful empowerment of our community, it's also because it allows us to have a safe space where we can talk about all these issues and we can come together and heal. It's really a healing process for all of us.
The evening was filled with live folklore dances, face painting, and art displays for the community to enjoy. Many locals express that keeping this tradition alive helps bring the community together.
Remember their name, never forget the ones we love, and just celebrate and have a good time with friends and family. It's a good way to unite people.
This tradition brings the community together to honor and remember loved ones. In Northridge, Abril Preciado, Valley View News.
Oh snaps, That's So Raven's coming back. The once popular show on Disney Channel is returning with a spin-off. The show will center around Raven Baxter as a single mother to 2 children. One of her kids will have visions just like their mother. Many students had mixed reactions about the spin-off.
I'm really excited to see how her and her daughter interact.
I really don't think it's gonna be the same as the original one was.
I like it. I'm glad that she's coming back.
I think it's gonna be slightly different because I'm sure people around our age group is probably gonna watch since we all grew up with That's So Raven.
Well, I don't think reboots do well anyway. I think they ran out of ideas and they can't think of anything, so they do spin-offs.
That's it for entertainment. Now back to you.
Thank you for watching Valley View News. I'm Gabrielle Ortega.
And I'm Aurora Hernandez. We'll see you next week.